Yo, what is up, my boy? 17 days until the Boston Marathon, you guys. I will be doing the Boston Marathon for the first time in 17 days. Wow, that's crazy. Will I make it? I don't know. I'm really excited. This marathon means a lot to me for so many reasons. For anyone who doesn't know, this is my dad's 41st Boston Marathon, but just Boston marathons. He's done many Ironman races, and if you know the Ironman, you do a marathon within the Ironman race. So not even including those. My brother's doing his third Boston Marathon. He's done other marathons. For anyone who doesn't know, with Boston, the reason it is such a big deal to be able to do the race is because you have to qualify for it. So, for example, saying it's my brother's third Boston, it is not his third marathon. He's done many more, but it's really hard to qualify, especially for someone of his age. He's only 4 years older than me, so he's young, he's healthy, the competition is stiff. You know, you gotta have a really good marathon time. I am so fortunate because I've been given the opportunity to run this race without having a qualifying time. So I'm running for Team iFit. Be running with iFit and Nordic Track, which were the company that produced the reality show I was on. So, you know, I didn't win that, spoiler alert. And I guess this is not a bad consolation prize. I will take it. Incredibly grateful. I know this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to do the Boston Marathon. And also, I grew up in Boston. I grew up going to the Boston Marathon. Again, my dad has done 41 of them, so he has been doing it for much longer than I have been alive. So this race means a lot to me for so many reasons. That does not mean that I am not nervous. I know that Boston is infamous for what you've probably heard of, Heartbreak Hill. The first part of the race is very downhill, which sounds great, but 26.2 miles, that's a lot of miles. So you can get really carried away at that downhill part. And I know myself, and I really do like going fast downhill. And sure, I can get away with that in shorter races, half marathons, but in a marathon race, you've really got to pace yourself during that downhill portion and not to get too excited. But it's the Boston freaking Marathon. How can I not be excited during the first few miles when I'm feeling good? Because the last portion of the race, that's when the Newton Hills come into play, Heartbreak Hill. So I don't want to be a cliche and fall apart at the end of the race. So I'm doing so many events, which I'm really excited about with iFit in the days leading up to the marathon. And I'm a little worried about like being on my feet a lot. And I know the expo of the Boston Marathon is probably like a madhouse of people. So I most definitely wanted to get some Boston Marathon merch. So I just like ordered it ahead online, which you can do. So I'm so excited about that. The thing about all these races is like, it's just a money trap. It is such a money trap. Like, I am not rich enough for all of this. This does not even compare to the cost of an Ironman race. Triathlons are such a like rich man sport because it is so incredibly expensive. And when I did my half Ironman last summer, I'm so spoiled and I literally didn't buy any equipment myself because my dad and my brother have been doing Ironmans for much longer than I've been alive. And I just inherited a bike from my dad because he outgrew this one. So many pieces of equipment because it really starts to add up. You think, oh, you just get a bike, pair of running shoes, wetsuit. I just took it from my dad. All of those things really add up. They're so freaking expensive. Not to mention $1,000 race fee. It's so incredibly expensive. It's crazy. I don't want to make a habit of doing these races too much because it's so expensive. Again, I'm super grateful and lucky to be on Team iFit and to give me the opportunity to do this race so I didn't have to drop a ton of money on it. But yeah, I'm incredibly excited. There is so much to look forward to with the weekend. We've got a Team iFit shakeout run, a Team iFit dinner the night before the marathon. Anyone who watched Trainer Games, watched the reality show I was on recently, if you know one of the trainers, Ashley, she's a part of the iFit team. She just set the world record for the 100 miler, fastest woman to run 100 miles. She was running like I think a 7:20 mile pace for 100 miles. Well, at the Boston Marathon at the expo, I think it's 2 days before the marathon, she's going to try to set the world record for the 100 miler on a treadmill. Can you imagine running 100 miles on a treadmill? And she's probably going to hold a 7-minute pace. For a marathon, sounds crazy, let alone around 100 miles. So I'm gonna try to see that. In the days before the race, the 5K. They do a 5K, which I actually didn't know about growing up there, which is kind of funny. They do a 5K the Saturday before the marathon, which again, iFit was so kind to give me a bib to that. So I was like, ugh, doing a 5K before a marathon does not sound great, but I was like, you know what? Once in a lifetime opportunity, I'm gonna do it. So I get to cross the Boston finish line, not once, but twice. I'm obviously not gonna race the 5K. I'll just kind of run at a nice casual pace. And the day before that, we're doing another kind of running race that I probably shouldn't talk about, but it's essentially like a video challenge that we're gonna do. And that will require running very fast. That's the Friday before the Monday Boston Marathon. So we are booked for that weekend. But again, once in a lifetime opportunity. So I'm so incredibly excited. It's been a rough winter training for the Boston Marathon here in New York City. It's been a very cold winter for those of us on the East Coast. Very, very cold. So it's been rough, but honestly, in a weird way, it's gotten me used to long runs on a treadmill. I always kind of do like speed work on a treadmill, but longer runs on a treadmill just don't vibe with me. But this winter, I've kind of for the first time, I'm always that person who I'm like, I will go outside running no matter the conditions until this winter. I was like, yeah, no. We had so many blizzards. There were a lot of days where I was like, physically cannot run outside. I'll be honest. It's not temperature or rainfall or snow or things like that, but there have been days where we've had so much snow where like I physically can't run in New York City safely. Like I'd be running over snowbanks. Like they're usually really good about shoveling, but there have just been, I think, been a lot of snow, and those 2 big snowstorms we had, like the sidewalks in my area were not really fully shoveled in long paths. So I was like, I'm just gonna run on a treadmill. But it's really gotten me comfortable with running on a treadmill, and I'm starting to learn to like it. Also, can we appreciate my massive freaking coffee? Huge coffee, tiny little straw. I've really began to appreciate treadmill running. There's pros and cons. Much prefer being outside for a long run. However, if you're like binge watching a TV show, I have like an old iPad that I never use because it's so incredibly old. It's like practically not even usable, but I will put like Netflix or Hulu on there. And if I'm like binge watching a show and really deep into it, just putting that over the screen of the treadmill is wonderful because I'm like, oh my God, I get to continue my binge watching, which is my favorite thing about the bike. You can see I got the bike set up there and I just like left it there because Zach is not here. And so I don't have to put it away because he's not here to be bothered by it. But that's why I kind of love indoor biking now, because I'm like, I just get to watch TV. I get to watch Love Island. I get to watch Real Housewives. I get to watch trashy reality TV while working out. Like such a win-win. You don't get to do that when you're running outside. So I am learning to love it, although you do kind of hit a point on the treadmill where I'm like, get me the hell off of this thing. And the best part about running outside is that, let's say I have to do like my long run, it's 20 miles or something. I'll run 10 miles out, so I have no option but to run 10 miles back. But on a treadmill, it's so easy to just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna cut my run short today. So getting used to treadmills, but I think I still prefer running outside. What else do I have to update you on? Marathon training, I feel like, has not consumed my life as much as I thought it would. Now, I don't want anyone out there who's watching this and has trained for a marathon, it is a lot of hard work. But I do feel like when you're training for a triathlon, like a longer distance, like Ironman type triathlon, there's so much to do because you have to swim, bike, and run. And when I think of last summer training for my 70.3 for the Ironman, I feel like that was a lot more time consuming and a little less enjoyable versus now that I'm running. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of running, and I'm, training for a marathon is not easy. But I feel like my long run, which is only 1 day a week, is really the only day that I'm like, oh my gosh, like, gotta hunker down. Like, it kind of almost feels like it consumes the whole day. Versus triathlon training, I felt like there were a lot of days like that. Like, there were a few days where I was like, dang, this is a full-time job. So in comparison, this feels, I don't want to say easier, but it feels more manageable to fit into my schedule. But it's a lot on the body. The perk about a triathlon is that you get to change the modality quite a bit. So, swimming feels very different than biking, feels very different from running. So it's a little maybe easier on your body, even though it's more consuming time-wise. But running can be a lot. It's really about pacing yourself and avoiding injury, which I'm very lucky to have avoided during this marathon prep. Now I'm tapering, so knock on wood, I'm not injured, and I'm feeling really good and fresh and ready for the Boston freaking Marathon. Cheers to that, babes. Cheers to that. All right, little life update, because life is lifing right now. It's really fun to have something to work towards. I was talking about this recently, where having a race or something that scares you a little bit is so nice to have. And although I don't want to get to the point where like my dad and my brother are at, where they just do so many Ironmans and like it truly is a permanent full-time job, I want to try different things, you know? I want to, yes, do an Ironman, but then also try something completely different. But I always like having something on the calendar. I feel like when I don't have a race or something on the calendar, I lose a little bit of focus and intention when it comes to fitness and working out and nutrition. And I really like having something on the schedule that forces me to day to day stay on track and on schedule and work towards something. It's just really fun to have. And also that feeling post race is such a high that I feel like I'm constantly chasing that in a healthy way so far. I know a lot of people who have very crazy obsessions with these races and are constantly trying to up what they physically can do. And I don't think I'm at that point yet, you know. Catch me in 2 years, like doing like a 100-mile race or one of those last man standing races. Like hopefully not, hopefully not. Again, I don't want to kill my body. I'm still, you know, trying to be a dancer and have a healthy body and have a career. But it's really nice to have something to work towards. Really nice. And I wish I had started this earlier in my life. I just told myself for so long growing up as a dancer that running was gonna destroy my body. And here I am feeling better than ever, fresh off of my peak marathon training. Did 22 miles last weekend, like feeling great. I wish I, you know, could go back to my younger self and be like, do a half marathon, sign up for a race, run. It's fun, it's inspiring. Yeah, so hope that inspires you to sign up for that race. It's scary and it's daunting, but oh my gosh, it's so worth it. All right, cheers to the Boston Marathon, cheers to races, cheers to running, cheers to fitness. My Siri, whatever it's called, I almost called it Echo Dot, but it's not. Zach got a new one, just went off. Don't know what I said. Sorry, Siri. Siri, stop. Chill, girl. She said there's nothing to stop here. Girl, what a chaotic way to end this. All right, bye.